Truly, I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. That's a strong admonition. Who said it? Jesus. Well, we think he said it. It was written down in the Gospels, and we're pretty sure he said it, and things like that. But truly, I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, I feel there's a finger wagging going on there. I'm telling you, unless you do this thing here, it ain't going to get any better for you. It's a powerful message that we need to let go of some of this adulting and be more like little children. Like those little people down the hall that are having a great time finger painting, just like I did last night. Today is your chance to become a little bit more like a little child again. I always think about the story of, how did you create the statue of David? Well, you take away all the clay that isn't David, and you're left with what's real. You're left with what you're meant to have. We start out perfect, wonderful, we're babies. We don't know that we're not good enough. We don't have any thought of less than. And then life and growth and busyness piles on, and we take on things that aren't true anymore, that we're less than. We get bullied. We aren't a straight-A student. We don't get the job that we want. In whatever way, we start to pile on some things and forget the truth of who we are. So if we go back to what Jesus told us to do and what all the great teachers do, they said, go back and remember how you are like a little child. And one of my favorite experiences was with the teacher Thich Nhat Hanh. And this was a week-long retreat with him and all of his staff. And he would come in, he's very passionate about the children, if you follow him at all. He's very passionate about the children. And so he would begin many of our Sangha sessions with all the kids, like 50 kids, just gathered here, talking to them. And so if you weren't into this, you were going to be bored for about an hour. You're like, oh my God, what does this kid lesson get over? I'm ready for the adult lesson. But guess what? You missed it if you did that, because the message was right there for you. And those were some of the most memorable ones that I remember. I remember him teaching them, teaching all of us little songs. I can still do the hand gestures. I can't remember what he talked about when he had a flip chart, but I remember those lessons to the little children. Maybe this will be one of those lessons for you. The day the minister got up there with finger paint on her shirt, and we got back to childhood a little bit. That's our hope today. And when the Daily Word came out yesterday, it was so fitting with what we're doing today. I'd like to share it with you. Yesterday was called Renewal. I am renewed by the divine life energy shining forth from within. All that we need is already here within us. All the divine wisdom is already in the universe. It's ours to tap into. It's ours to bring it forth. My natural state of being is health and wholeness. That's why I'm teaching a class on it in October. Anytime I feel less than strong and well, I remind myself of the many restorative healing processes that occur within my body temple. Doctors don't know how we heal. They just know how to set up these circumstances, and the body heals itself ultimately. It responds to what we do, but the healing wisdom is already in the spirit, mind, and body. Infinite intelligence guides the natural process of renewal, as old cells are shed and new cells invigorate my body. And I do my part to support the natural process of rejuvenation. So we have a part to play here. That is what we call the fifth principle here in Unity. We know that God is good, the presence of God is the same as us, and our thoughts and our prayers are formative, and we need to act on that. It's not enough to just know these things. We must act. So I do my part to support the healing. I drink clean water. Anybody got a water bottle on today? Let's see who are my water drinkers. Let me see your water bottles. Who's got one? Water bottles, I love it. People with water bottles. I don't go anywhere without a water bottle. As a matter of fact, I feel like today I should just preach with my water bottle. Okay, clean water. We need clean water. Everybody take a sip. Actually, that's what my speech coach tells me. I'm supposed to be drinking more water, that is. I drink clean water. I breathe plenty of fresh air. Let's breathe. And again. And one more time. Do you feel that? Anybody feel the energy shift in the room just now? Mm-hmm. Standing up here, I can see it. I can see it. I can see burdens that just fell away from some of you. That's simple. A sip of water and a nice couple of deep breaths. I also get plenty of rest and spend a healthy amount of time in exercise and sunshine. I renew my mind and heart with reflective times in nature and in prayer. I am restored by the light of infinite intelligence that shines brightly within, blessing me immensely. Time in prayer and meditation, and you just did that with Nancy. And then from Colossians, you have stripped off the old self with its practices and have clothed yourselves with the new self, according to the image of its creator. And that's what we're here to do. Most weeks, what we're really here to do is to let go of what doesn't work and to welcome and strengthen and do what does work, which is usually a letting go of something that we no longer want to do or to think, and to get back to the truths that we really know, that I am well, that I am whole, that I am meant to be here, that I am filled with infinite potential. And I let go of anything that tells me the opposite. And we do it very simply. It doesn't require a master's degree. It's great if you have one. But how many of you took a class in Breathing 101? Anybody get taught meditation when they were in school? Okay, we have one person who took a breathing class. Sheila took breathing. You got taught meditation. Wow. Okay, you got taught. So very few of us. So these basic, okay, anybody here remember getting a sleep class in school? I remember sleeping in school, yes, but I don't remember the class on how to do it well. Isn't that funny when you think about it? Some of the most important things that we need to do, we don't actually learn how to do them. So we have trouble falling asleep at night, and we breathe shallow, and we forget to drink water. Very, very simple with those three things what we can shift. And this week it was very simple for me. I was going for a quick walk, and because I still am fighting off a little bit of this cold, so I thought, let me just take a walk down to the end of the street and back. And I remembered that this lake where I live is filled with swans. And they're just gorgeous to watch. So it was that simple for me on Wednesday. I walked over to the park and I sat on the bench. And I sat for 15 minutes or so and did one thing. I watched the swans. I didn't read a book. I didn't have any headphones on. I wasn't working on a practice. Can you imagine 15 minutes sitting and watching nature do what nature does? Watching how they clean themselves. I mean, I can still picture it. And watching them for 15 minutes calmed my soul. Brought me into this oneness with the nature that I happen to live 5 minutes from. And you do too. You live somewhere within you is a park bench nearby. But how many times do we just walk by the park bench or we drive by it? It's too busy. And this day, no matter what I had to do back at my computer, I spent time with those swans. And whatever the swans are for you, that's like being a child, just sitting watching my cat lick herself and clean herself for an hour and a half in the sun. I could just enjoy that. I could take a nap. I could do all sorts of things to soothe my soul. And it reminds me of when I was little. And I would go spend time with my grandmother, Grandma Brown, on the farm out in Dike, Iowa, population 100. And those were some of the best summers. There wasn't actually a camp to go to. She did take me to swimming lessons, but I didn't have a bunch of lessons. All I did was I waited for a friend to come over and to play up in the attic and to play with the barn cats, which I was not supposed to do. And I did all these fun things. Grandma is a really wonderful memory for me of what it was like to be young and do things like this. And it would be great if we had a grandma here today who could be a grandma to all of you to help you get back. I wonder where I could find a fun grandmother who could, she's here in the front row. Oh my gosh, it's Grandma Nancy. Grandma Nancy is with us today. She's an expert at fun, at calming the soul, at teaching you wisdom.
Fully outfitted.
And so,
Grandma Nancy.
when I knew that she had a shirt like this, I'm like, well, I just have to get involved here.
We're
and so, there we go. So, welcome Grandma Nancy, who's going to help us do some of these very basic kid things.
Thanks, Karen. As many of you know, I'm a licensed Unity teacher and I'm a snowbird. I go down to Naples, Florida for the winter. And several years ago, I started volunteer in the media center of a Title I school there. This is probably 5 miles as the crow flies from one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in the United States. And yet, 94 to 97% of the children in this school live at below the poverty level. And as I was watching these children, as I started this volunteering, I was watching them kind of get tighter and tighter and tighter and more burdened. And I could see their energy just coming in and getting denser. And I wasn't quite sure what to do about it, but then there was a divine appointment when the math coach, a new teacher with the math coach, I think, she got the short end of the straw. And she was just beside herself one day. These kids were just not settling down, paying any attention to her. She came over to the desk and she said, "Can you help me?" I said, "Just give me a minute. Can I have a couple minutes with the kids?" I had no idea what I was going to do when I walked over there. But I got over there and I said, "Put your pencils down, put your hands flat on the table, your feet on the floor, sit up straight. We're going to breathe. I want you to breathe in to the count of 5, and I want you to breathe out to the count of 10. In for the count of 5, out for the count of 10. Third time we did this, there were a couple of kids going, I said, "Are you feeling a little lightheaded?" Yeah. Great, because that means your brain is finally being oxygenated and it loves getting that oxygen. We also talked about how deeply they were breathing. I suggested they put one hand over their heart. You may want to do this too, my dears. One hand over your heart and one hand over your belly button. And breathe. So you normally breathe. Exhale. Breathe again. How many of you had the hand over your heart move? The rest of you had the hand over your belly button move. That's the proper breathing method for us to get back to our best. So we started this process at this school, came up with this little poster. You have this in the insert in your bulletin today. Breathe to be at your best. We reminded these kids how to do proper deep breathing. All of us, up until about the age of 2, were belly breathers. It was how we were hardwired to breathe, so we would maximize the oxygen taken into our bodies, put into our circulatory system, go to our brains and other parts of our bodies, so that we could operate in the divine design in which we are made. Around 2, we start to learn all these other things, we get distracted, and we forget to breathe. So one of the things that we have done now is we've taught all the teachers there. There are morning announcements while I'm down there, reminding people to breathe and other techniques that we can use to help these kids get out of this sort of hunkered down energy that they were in. This morning we're going to have the children join us. I don't know if the youngest kids are going to be here, but most of the kids are going to be joining us. Because there's the next level of technique that I've used with these kids that I am now using up here at the 4th grade elementary school in Palatine, which I literally have seen change lives. back to these kids at the math coaching. Title I school, very low expectations in spite of all the energy that their teachers put into them. Each of their subsequent math coaching sessions, they ask the coach to take them through this breathing exercise. They went to this Collier County-wide competition against 229 other schools. They asked the coach to take them into the competition breathing. These kids came in third out of 230 schools where they had not had high expectations, but by just using this technique, they cleared their minds, they captured the information, they retained the information, they applied the information, and they achieved, I'm sure, several of them beyond their wildest imagination. So that's why we want to talk with you this morning about Breathe to be at your best.
And we're going to welcome the children in so they
Welcome,
can
darlings. Ooh, they're all
We're going to learn this together.
Yay.
Hi kids, come on in.
Come on in.
You want to sit with your moms and dads or grandmas or grandpas? Find your child. Find your child. Yay! All right.
Hi.
So Grandma Nancy's here today, everybody.
Hi.
Wave to Grandma Nancy, kids. Wave to
I
Grandma
don't usually
Nancy.
see you until the end of service. I'm so glad you could join us.
All right.
Now, one of the things that we talk about with the kids, both in Naples and over in Palatine, is we talk about these amazing brains that we have. We are so wondrously designed. And there is a part of our brain, though, that was very early to develop when we began to live in caves and we began to be the humanoids that we have developed into. This very primitive part of the brain is called the amygdala, and we talk to the kids about this amygdala. And what it is, it's our danger detector. It's kind of like the smoke detector that you have in your bedrooms or wherever. And this was developed so that if there was a saber-toothed tiger roaring outside the cave, we were alerted to do something about it. And the amygdala sends these messages throughout the body. The heart starts to race a little bit more, our muscles tense. There's all kinds of chemical differences occurring to prepare us at that time to do one of two things. For the most part, the choices were you pick up your handy club and you beat that tiger out into submission. The other alternative was to prepare yourself to run as fast as you could. Those were pretty much the two responses to the amygdala firing. Over time, we have unfortunately developed a third one, and that is we freeze. Oh gosh, something's awful. What am I going to do? Oh no, I can't think of anything. I can't breathe. Anybody been there? Well, that was what was happening to these children. They had all of these amazing situations foisted upon them from kindergarten to the 5th grade. And I came across this amazing Jinshin technique. Jinshin Jitsu is an ancient Japanese healing modality. It's very similar to acupuncture. And it talks about how there are all these circuits in our bodies. And they represent various organs, but they also represent various feelings, emotions that we might be stuck in. So on the back side of your Breathe to be at your best insert,
So everybody
is the
take
drawing
off
of a hand. Did you all get a pen when you came in today? If not, we'll...
So how about everybody show me your hands? Kids, adults, let me see your hands. Hands, hands, okay. We're going to use these today. This is your tool. And the adults have a piece of paper they can write on. Kids, if they want one, we've got some extras.
Yeah.
These are our tools for today.
Yeah.
These are going to help us feel better. Who wants to feel better sometimes? Kids? Kids, you ever had a rough day at school? Grandma and Grandpa, Mom and Dad, are they ever a little mean and you're like, hey, I'm not so happy. You want to feel just a little bit better? Okay. This is what we're going to use.
Today's talk is entitled Rid Yourself of Worry Fast. This is the technique that I have used, I have taught to innumerable children and teachers. It is truly one of the most amazing practical things we can do to get ourselves back to be at the best that we are to be. Now what this represents is the thumb represents worry, so you may want to write worry in your thumb or over your thumb.
Can I see your thumbs?
So worry is the thumb.
Where's some kid thumbs? Let me see some kid thumbs. Let me see your thumbs.
That's worry. So kids, when you worry, like, oh, the school bus is late, or oh, I have a test tomorrow, or where's mom and dad, they aren't home yet, that's what you're going to work with, is your thumb. If you're in fear, if you are afraid of something, it's your first finger.
Can I see your pointy fingers? Where's your first finger?
Worry, fear. The next finger is for anger or frustration.
Yeah,
And sometimes
be careful how you turn this one around. Can I see the other finger?
Your next finger is your ring finger, and that's for sadness. And sometimes we do feel very sad. And the final finger, the pinky finger, is for trying too hard, or when we're pretending to be something that we know we're not. Now what this technique does is it helps to close the circuit that is misfiring in association with those feelings. And all you need to do is to determine, are you worried? Are you fearful? Are you angry? Are you sad? Are you trying too hard? And then,
Let's do it one more time.
worry
Thumbs are worry. First finger
is
fear.
anger, sadness, trying too hard.
She's taping me. I need to be careful.
Oh, yes.
Trying too hard. We don't want to flip off Facebook.
The technique is, all you need to do is to grasp either the thumb if it's worried or which of the fingers applies, and just gently put your other hand around that digit. You don't need to squeeze it, you don't need to twist it or worry it at all. Just feel the finger being held. Now, the next suggestion is you may want to put it in your lap and do some mindful breathing.
Breathe from your belly.
Belly breathing, nice and slow, but notice what you feel at that finger. If you have been worried, afraid, angry, or frustrated, that's where this one comes in handy too, sad or trying too hard, you are likely to feel a pulse, a beat in that finger. And if you're really into that and you're stuck in that response, it's going to be a strong pulse and it's likely to be very erratic. So as you just hold it and breathe, notice the pulse begins to slow and normalize. Anybody noticing the pulse? Anybody not noticing the pulse? Hello? The fascinating thing about this is once you begin to feel that pulse on that particular hand calm, go and hold the same finger on the opposite hand. The reason we suggest you do this is when you're holding a circuit on your left hand, it goes up and calms the right hemisphere of your brain. So you need to hold your right hand to calm the left hemisphere of your brain. So that there's balance, there's oxygen that is flowing, the brain is beginning to settle down, the amygdala is being quieted, and other parts of your brain fire. So you can make a clear thought like, oh, I just imagined that was a problem. I'm okay. Oh, this is a problem. I need to go get someone to help me. So what we're doing is we're literally getting ourselves out of alarm mode into operative mode, where we can think, we can see our options, we can make better choices, and we can get back to being fully present to what's going on in our lives. So I have yet to find someone for whom this does not apply.
That's right. I'd like to ask the kids, does anybody have Any kids have any brothers or sisters, or moms or dads, or people they go to school with who sometimes make you mad? Does anybody have a brother or sister? Maybe there's a mean kid at school and maybe they make you a little mad. Any kids? You sometimes get a little mad? Just a little? Okay, so she gets mad. Cindy, do you get mad sometimes? Yeah, your little sister? Okay, adults, anybody have a sister or a brother that's made you mad? You have a sister. Does she ever make you a little mad? No. Oh, isn't she an angel? Okay, how about sad? Anybody have anything sad happen sometimes? A little sad? Who's got a little sad sometimes? Yeah, maybe you had to go to school when you didn't want to, or, okay, I know you've been at the grocery store, kids, and you've wanted candy, and your parents have said no. I know this has happened. You have, but she has candy. She's got the perfect life back there. Okay, so let's say you are at the grocery store, and and adults too, you're walking through and you want those intimate donuts, but you're like, no, I can't have the intimate donuts, and that makes me mad. What finger would we use? So everybody take your middle finger. If you're a little mad, can everybody take their middle finger? Even kids, can you take your middle finger? And now let's switch fingers. Let's hold one of our fingers. There we go. So let's remember that next time we're at the grocery store.
Yes. Now, for the parents in the room, grandparents, anybody, frankly, have you noticed how much anxiety seems to be kind of floating around these days, and there's just a whole lot of upset? Well, there is a jumper cable for worry. And I have to tell you, I have a niece and a nephew who went to Northeastern University through the Physician's Assistant Program, and this is the only thing that got them both through their academics achievements. The jumper cables for worry is put your hands in front of yourself, one thumb parallel to the other, above the other. Wrap one hand around one thumb and gently rotate the open hand to come back up and hold the second thumb. Notice, one thumb, rotate the hand, come around, and grasp the other thumb.
And if it's not working, loosen up your grip a little.
Yes.
Sometime I was like, wait, this hand won't go down.
Now, I've noticed that right-handed people often grasp the left thumb first, where left-handed people grasp the right thumb first, and the same applies. You just rotate the right hand up around, and so you have both thumbs engaged. We doing it?
Yeah. Anybody else?
A few minutes, my friends, of doing this is remarkable how we get out of that downward spiral of worry. The kids use it, the teachers use it. I actually saw a picture of Angela Merkel standing before the G8, and she was holding both thumbs. So this is so helpful because it's portable. You can do it in a meeting, you can do it wherever you are. No one needs to know that you are breaking the cycle of worry so that you can be fully present to what's happening in the minute, in the moment. So we wanted to bring that to you today and have the kids in this. I have to tell you that it's been fascinating what I have heard from the children in response. I went to the public school in Palatine. I've been doing it about 3 years now. And I was away for the winter, and I got there for their last class. I said, so what have you guys been doing with the Worry Fast thing? The little girl shot her hand up. She said, oh, sadness. I said, oh, sadness. Yeah, she said, I taught my mom about this. I said, oh, tell me. She said, I showed my mom how to do this when my grandmother was dying. And the children shall lead us. This is something that all of us, as beloved children of God, have available to us to get us back on track, to get us clear and present, so that we can be the most exquisite expression of the divine that we are here to be. regardless of any circumstances going on. So in a couple of weeks, we'll talk about some of the other techniques mentioned in the daily words.
Thank Grandma Nancy for me. Everybody.
Thank you for me.
Thank you, Grandma. And she's going to be here again at 1 o'clock today, so please stay and come. She's going to continue this kind of idea with the Beatitudes, a new way to look at them. And again, Nancy is the teacher that got me started. She was my very first licensed Unity teacher many, many years ago that got me on this path. And I can tell you every class that I've ever taken from her has been really deeply meaningful to me. So do yourself a favor and continue this kind of work with Nancy this afternoon with the Beatitudes. And now the adults and the kids know these same techniques, right? And our belly breathing. Let's do one last belly breathe because the kids didn't get to put their hands on their bellies. So everybody put a hand on your heart and a hand on your tummy. And now let's breathe from our tummy. Fill it in and let it out. Fill it in, let it out. Not breathing from up here, none of this. You want to breathe from here. Make a big Santa tummy. Make your tummy as big as it can be. And now you've got a lot of clean, fresh air. So kids, grandparents, aunts, uncles, moms, and dads, we now have the same language to help ourselves. Everybody go forth this week, whether you are 10 or whether you are 80, and be like little children. And so it is. Blessings.
Friends, now is our time to step out of the present moment so that we can commune deeply and personally with our Mother, Father, God. So let us begin this process by breathing deeply and mindfully of how it is the Spirit of life, the Spirit of our Mother, Father, God, comes into us, moves through us, calms us, renews us, vitalizes us. So as we take this next breath, let us feel how these amazing bodies of ours are calming. On our next breath, our minds are calmed. We have entered into the sanctuary of our hearts. That place in which we can release the past and any burden that's carried from that. We can come fully into this sacred moment where we can lay at the altar of our Mother, Father, God any questions, doubts, concerns that we have. They may be released. We may be inspired. We may remember our whole holy truth as nothing less than the beloved children of the Most High One. So as we relax into this knowing, we embrace this knowing, we give ourselves permission to become still, to move into the silence of our hearts, where we are able to hear that still small voice that speaks so powerfully and so lovingly in the silence. Sweet, sweet Mother, Father, God, thank you for unburdening me of my intellectual understanding and empowering me with my spiritual understanding. My mind and my heart are now aligned and filled with your divine wisdom of how it is that you would have me be, and from that what it is that you would have me do. I delight in following the path that you light for me, and I go forth from this time and place with limitless gratitude for all the ways in which I am blessed every moment of every day, every circumstance, through every thought. I am so grateful, for it is so good, and so it